Bored of inadequate film podcasts?
Frustrated by amateurish, immature content creators masquerading as film critics?
Then we have just the film podcast for you.
It's called Kermode and Mayo's Take.
And you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Roll the tape. Okay, so box office top 10, disconcertingly starting at number 10, which is, that's not the way this happens. It's not the way it's supposed to work.
No.
Anyway, at 10, Caught Stealing.
Yes, I still haven't caught up with it. Forgive me, for the last week or so, I have been literally tarting my butt around with the book. So the things that came out that 1 week we were off, I haven't caught up with. I apologise.
Weapons is at number 9.
Which, of course, I have seen and like very much. Really, really glad it's still in the chat. This is its 6th week in the top 10, so it's done well.
6th week also for Freakier Friday, which is at number 8 here, number 9 in the States.
So much better than I expected. And as I said, I laughed, and then at the end, I suddenly found myself being unexpectedly moved to tears. And what more could you want particularly from a late in the day sequel?
Got a visual joke here. Number 7 in the UK, number 13 in the States. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. That's my visual joke, Mark.
Oh, very good. Wow, you've got a Spinal Tap lanyard.
I've got a lanyard, and it says on it, VIP, access no areas. Break Like the Wind 1992 World Tour.
Wow,
so
that was a good tour.
When they were.
That was a good tour.
That was back from Radio 1 days. Anyway, so for various reasons, just because and so on, we went to see Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues.
Okay.
Despite your less than enthusiastic review, and I laughed all the way through.
Okay, good.
We had such a good time. Plus 84 minutes. Thank you. Good night. Off you go. That's when you know your story has run its course. Off you go. I just thought that there are a few misses, obviously, but we had a great time.
Well, look, I'm really delighted. I mean, I wasn't. I was very careful to say it could have been so much worse, and I chuckled through it, and I laughed out loud twice. It was nothing like as bad as it might have been. It just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Let me ask you two things. What did you think of the Chris Addison role?
Yeah, I thought he was fine. I think that was fine. He was very, very Chris Addison and very snaky and sharky. He was a combination of a snake and a shark. I thought he was funny.
Okay. And what about the celebrities?
Again, McCartney, fantastic. I thought Elton got away with it as well. So I thought it all made sense. It was all a lot of fun, and at the risk of spoiling the best joke in the movie, at the end, when one of them says, "Yeah, I'm working on a memoir," like Bruce, and when he wrote that book, I am Springsteen going on Spreventine. I thought,
That was one of my two laugh out loud jokes. That was one of my two laugh out loud moments. Look, I'm really thrilled. I'm really glad you like it, because I don't dislike it. I wasn't negative about it. I was disappointed, but I thought it was better than it could have been, and I'm really thrilled that you liked it.
Vic J says, I love this new film. I've seen the first one probably 50 times. I think the guys did a great job on this project. Really loved it. Edward Box says, I laughed a lot. 7 out of 10, but I agree with all the reservations, but I love the tap, and it's great to spend more time with them. Anyway, so do I. Spinal Tap 2 is at number 7. The End Continues. Number 6, number 10 in Canada, The Bad Guys 2.
Still hanging on in there in its 8th week. Still can't quite get it, but if you like The Bad Guys 1, it's like that.
The Roses at number 5.
So came out when we were off, haven't caught up with it. Poster looks terrible. I hear tell from fellow critics that actually it's pretty good.
Number 4 here and in America, The Long Walk. This is from Paul McElroy. Dear first warning and second warning, saw The Long Walk on Sunday and thought it was a finely acted and written film. I agree with a few of the comments on your YouTube review that say it felt like a close relation to They Shoot Horses, Don't They? The other thing that occurred to me was it felt odd and maybe a bit old-fashioned that we never cut to the television show that we were told was being broadcast. In a media-obsessed age, it's unusual to see it taking a backseat in the story. Thanks for all, and then he signs off, this is Paul McElroy. Thanks for all the hard work you do, and the team, whose diligence is matched only by their wit, handsomeness, and dancing skills. For some reason, that's underlined. Anyway, it clearly worked, Paul, because you got read out. That's The Long Walk at number 4.
Well, I mean, I thought The Long Walk was challenging, and going in at number 4 is actually pretty good when you consider how grim the subject matter is, based on a Stephen King book that he apparently wrote before Carrie, but it was published afterwards as a Richard Bachman thing. Dystopian future. The cover looks very much like references to Rollerball and that sort of thing. I mean, I liked the film. I did find it very, very dark, and I thought that. I mean, when you consider, if you compare it to, for example, the Hunger Games franchise, with which it shares a director, that thing about not cutting away to a television, it does make sense because it's telling a different story. I think the most important thing is that in the current state of Trump's America, this story that was written specifically in relation to the Vietnam War does have horrible parallels. I mean, I think it does depict a really brutal world in which, people are being distracted from the actual horrors by this just obscene game. And when I was watching it, I did think it's, you really can look at this and think all those things that King was thinking about during the horrors of Vietnam, they all make sense now. And I think that's a very, very dark time to be in.
Number 3 here, number 2 in America is The Conjuring: Last Rites.
Well, again, without wishing to simply revisit this, if it was just a straightforward ooga booga horror movie, that would be fine. I just object to having to sit there listening to, two con artists being sanctified in such a po-faced manner. I don't mind, fiction. I don't mind, make the whole thing up, but don't then lecture me about how important it is that, these two people who they weren't fighting evil hand to hand. They were kooks. They were crazy people. That's it.
Number 2, but it's the American number 1, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle.
Yes, I'm going to watch that tomorrow, and we will have a review of it on next week's show.
Charlie says, dragged along by nephews and expected the excruciating worst, but I was genuinely impressed by the film. The character development was nuanced and compelling, drawing me into the emotional journey of each protagonist. Visually, the graphics were exceptional, rich, immersive, and beautifully executed. The story resonated with me on a personal level, leaving a lasting impression. It's rare to encounter a film that blends technical excellence with such heartfelt storytelling. I will maybe even return for another viewing. Demon Slayer, number 2. Number 1 is Downton Abbey, the grand finale. The end continues. Anne Barden on our YouTube channel. I thought this lived up to its legend. A good farewell to the characters. Downton is a nice watch. Upstairs, downstairs its grittier grandma, and that last scene, Niagara Falls. George on YouTube, a beautiful film, very moving, funny. The Noel Coward inclusion was inspired along with his music. Just delightful. A beautiful afternoon spent with my mum at the cinema. Lucy Campbell says, 41 and 4 months. No special title, but I did have afternoon tea at Highclere Castle. Yes, it's sentimental and a total tea and cake film, but honestly, I didn't care. I was transported back to the 1930s with beautiful costumes, wonderful settings, and some glorious put-downs. Penelope Wilton does a sterling job trying to step into Maggie Smith's very large shoes and manages to make some wonderful one-liners. The whole cast get their moment in the spotlight, and it's a glorious fan service. I am not ashamed to admit that I shed a few tears in the final few minutes when Mary has her moment in the hall. No spoilers. Is it going to break cinema? No. Is it groundbreaking and new? Absolutely not. But will I sit through it again more than once when it comes to television? 100%. Downton Abbey, number 1.
And that is exactly it. Goes Downton Abbey well with a cup of tea and a bicky. When we were reviewing it last week, we're saying for the people who love Downton, this is spending more time in their company, exactly as with Spinal Tap. Because even I, who was lukewarm about Spinal Tap, did say many times in my review, I just liked being with these guys again because I've spent so much of my life invested in it. And people who love Downton Abbey will just love being in their company again. I think as a piece of filmmaking, it's pretty ropey, but that doesn't matter. The other thing is, because of the demographic that it's playing to, it is absolutely attracting an older audience. And when it comes to independent cinemas who are, need to fill their screens during the week, this is the kind of thing that is a bankable, solid hit for them. So it is what it is, and that's fine.